One this. Hi, Miss Yi. I forgot what group number we are. But yeah, Arvin, Talha, Lilo,
No.
Ruben, and I in the same room. Let's get it. Okay. So this is our infographic that Arvin did an amazing job on. It's amazing as heck.
Thanks, bro.
So dope. And yeah, to start this off, Ruben's gonna intro everything. So yeah, it's up to you now, buddy.
All right, so for cloud gaming, the reason we decided to do for cloud gaming is because it's quite a popular topic nowadays. Since the prices of electronics are going up, a lot of people can't afford to build PCs to play games. So there's this new thing that game companies are doing, which is cloud gaming, sort of game streaming, wherein they host the games on their servers and they just stream the game to you. So all you do is pay a monthly fee for the game. It's essentially like, think of it as Netflix for games. Quite simple in that regard. And to explain the results of our survey, I'll pass it on to Lilo to explain about our demographic first.
Let's get it.
Okay, so for our demographics, when we check the age groups of people, the highest is 18 to 21, which is 62% of gamers. And when we check their genders, 92% of them are male and only 8% of the gamers are female. And then 63% of the gamers are mainly students.
I just want to add one thing, Missy, before we go on to Talha's part. You know how we said we should add others for genders so people don't get offended? Apparently, one guy identified himself or herself as a hentai addict. So yeah, that's pretty fun, isn't it? Anyway, up to you, Talha.
All right, can you guys scroll down a bit? Thank you so much. First of all, massive respect to Mr. Parveinraaj for creating this dope-ass
Thanks.
infographic. I This thing will come into my dreams later on, but let's get into our gaming community. Uh, Before getting into it, the first thing that we asked was, what type of operating systems that they are using. Uh, to my surprise, I thought since we are living in the smart age, maybe some people will be into smartphones, but we have quite opposite results. 74% of people went for Windows. That is exactly the exact opposite of what we expected. So smartphones came in later, but in the end, our main topic, since it's cloud gaming, whether it's smartphone, console, or Windows, as well as their gaming, we're good to go. Next up, we kind of asked them how much time they spent, and this is where the smartphones came in, because about 6% of the people who were into smartphones, about 15% of the people who spent 6 hours, they were into smartphones, and very less were into Windows, into PC gaming, because you know that you can't just do it anywhere. Next up, let's just go to the right side that says gamers were spent on microtransactions. Uh, Again, to my surprise, to my personal surprise, was not expecting people to spend money into games, because personally I wouldn't. But since it's not about me, it's about gaming community in general, we got 70% people who would love to spend their money into games, and why they would do that uh, is is written right there. Some of them go for fun, for aesthetics, in-game skins and personal skins to make your avatar look better, if you feel dope, maybe something like that. And some of them just send for gaming experience. But for those who did not want to do it, or maybe sensible, because they don't want to waste money into games, and the other thing is because maybe they're like me, sometimes broke. Next up, we're going to talk about this target thing that you can see that says 60% gamers prefer shooting game. Although the gaming community is a vast community and it has a wide range of categories, but still 60% of the respondents came with shooting games. Uh, you can say violence is increasing in the world. All right, so the next part is the amount they are willing to spend. Uh, Again, it was a surprise, not really a surprise, because obviously $60 is a bit too much, and I don't know who would spend $60. But most of the people, they said minimum $10 is more than enough. That makes about 40 ringgits maybe. So yeah, that's about the gaming community, and let's go to the next stage.
Okay, there we go. Yep. I think this is Ruben's part.
Oh yeah, okay. So as for our results for the cloud gaming part in general that we asked in our survey, according to the survey, about 30% of our respondents have tried cloud gaming, which means they have heard of some cloud gaming services. And despite that, an overwhelming majority, 70% of them have not heard of cloud gaming. And to be honest, I don't really blame them because cloud gaming is still a relatively new thing and it's not as popular in Malaysia as compared to the rest of the world. And since most of our respondents were from Malaysia, they did not know anything about cloud gaming. And when we asked them to specify whether they have heard any sort of cloud gaming services such as Google Stadia, Project X Cloud, Xbox, or Nvidia GeForce Now or PlayStation Now, 44% of them said they have not heard of them at all. Again, it relates back to the previous question, where it says they have not heard of cloud gaming in general, so they have no knowledge whatsoever about any cloud gaming services. However, 21% of them did hear about this sort of about Stadia, about Google Stadia. 26% of them heard about Project X Cloud. 19% of them have heard about Nvidia's GeForce Now, and around 36% of them have heard about PlayStation Now. So what this shows is that even though they might have not tried cloud gaming for themselves, they still have heard of these services. They still have a vague knowledge about what sort of services these are about. And when we asked them whether they would be willing to pay a monthly subscription in order to access cloud gaming, wherein it's basically a game rental service, 39% of them said yes. However, an overwhelming majority, 63% of them said no. For me, this shows that most of them prefer to just buy their games outright and have it with them instead of renting it from a server. And as for those who have tried cloud gaming, around 4% of them said it's the worst service they have ever tried. As in, they hated it and they did not want to try it again at all. A slight improvement was around 10% of them. They rated it 2 out of 5. The 4%, they rated it 1 out of 5. And those who are neutral, gave it a 3 out of 5, were around, again, another 4%, which means they were neither like nor dislike cloud gaming. And around 33% of them who have tried cloud gaming approved of it. They gave it a 4 out of 5, which is quite good. And besides that, 12% of them gave it a perfect 5-star rating, which means they wholeheartedly approve of it and they would definitely continue to use it.
Okay. All right. So moving on to piracy part, like we know how games could be pirated, like in a cracked version, or they could sell it for a cheaper price, and those kind of things might happen. So when we actually asked the respondents, like should games always be connected to online servers in order to prevent data piracy? And basically 57% of them actually agreed that games should always be connected to online servers to prevent data privacy. And when we asked why, reason being, some of them said it is safe to play, it is to avoid hackers, to prevent data piracy, and also easier to save game processes. So from this, I can say, like most of the gamers, they would actually want games to be online servers so that they feel safe to play it. So yep, moving on to piracy. Sorry, privacy.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I forgot to unmute myself. There we go. Okay. So for privacy, is very important because a lot of the concerns about cloud gaming is about whether your information is safe, because all of it's going to be on servers and not just on your computer, right? So we asked general questions to our respondents, 209 respondents, by the way, on what they feel about privacy, and 50% of them consider that their data is safe once it's online. And if you look about it, most gamers are pretty neutral about they are concerned about gaming privacy, because if you go to the bottom down there, right? Alvin, just scroll a bit. Okay, so if you look at the bottom left there, that big blue circles there, right? There's like 4 games there: PUBG, Valorant, Genshin Impact, and Doom Eternal. So now these games, to play them, it requires full access to your computer. So the moment you download it and start playing, the company who runs the game has full access to your computer. And we asked the respondents, yo, do you know that playing these games require full access to your computer? And majority of them, actually 65% of them said yes. Now, we asked them a question after that saying, okay, knowing that it requires full access to your computer, would you still be okay with playing that game or any other games like that? And 66% of them said yes. So it's not that they don't care. We realize that they notice it, but they're still cool with it. So maybe they have some backup drives, like maybe a Windows software and all that, or maybe a cloning software that's going to help them override the system and all that, right? So it's not that they're completely oblivious about it, but it's just that they choose to go along with it. So that's what we found about in terms of what our respondents feel about privacy in their gaming. Yeah, Rupert, you want to close this up?
Okay, so in conclusion, I believe cloud gaming is still a relatively niche topic, as can be shown in our overall survey, wherein most of them have not heard of it. However, those who have tried of it, majority of them do approve, and they agree that it is useful for them, since they do not require to spend a large amount of money to build a new system to play games. It's like Netflix, they can just pay per month and rent all the games that they want without having to fork out extra to actually build the system. And as we saw in our privacy and piracy issues, they do not mind it being online, and they do not mind sacrificing a bit of privacy in order to, how would you say, okay, in order to play the games, because they understand that sacrifices have to be made, and for them, playing these games and the money that they save is worth the amount of sacrifice in order to lessen the impact on their wallet. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice, exactly that.
That beat is from